Senator Kent Eken was elected to the Senate in 2012, began service in 2013. He has 10 years worth of Senate years served, 3,422 days, but with additional time in the other body, his total legislative days served is 7,076. It's my honor to present Senator Kent Eken.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, as President Osmek stated, I served in the House before coming here for 10 years, and now it's my 10th year here in the Senate, so a total of 20 years. And I still remember after the election, my first election to the House in 2002, I came here with our family, and we had 3 children at that time. It included my son Samuel, who was 6 years old at the time. And we went to the Capitol, the first time that my children had ever seen the Capitol, and then afterwards we walked through the tunnel over to the state office building where my office was, and then we left from there. And the next day, Sam, who now is 25 years old, but at that time, again, 6 years old, he looked at me and said, "Dad, when can we go back to the Magic Building?" And he couldn't figure out how he came in the Capitol and then left out of another building, Magic. So to him, it was magic. So we had to explain to him how tunnels worked and everything. But it kind of took me back to when I first came here, because I was 6 years old when I first came to the Capitol. And my dad was elected for the first time to serve in the Minnesota House. And I remember running down those tunnels when I was a kid, when I was 6 years old. So. And that's what inspired me to want to get involved in politics. Was my dad. The reason that he got involved, he was never intending to get involved in politics at all. But he had a son, his name is Kyle, my brother Kyle, who was 2 years older than me, but he was intellectually disabled. And so I called him my big little brother because he was taller than me and bigger than me, but intellectually he was like my little brother. And it wasn't immediately apparent to my parents, but he was slow to walk, slow to talk, so they brought him in to be evaluated and was diagnosed with intellectual disability. And my parents were told they had one of 2 options. One was to send him away to be institutionalized, which was what most people did at that time. This is back in the 60s. And he'd be living about 100 miles away from home, but he would receive some training, some education. The other option was you could keep him at home, but he would receive no formal education because there was no special education program in our area of the state for children with intellectual disabilities. So my parents got involved in a movement to start a special education program for children with intellectual disabilities in our area, and they were successful in that. It was in Ada, and I still remember my brother going there, and he absolutely loved that program. As I said, they were successful, and it led Dad to eventually run for the House. And we came to understand how important politics was to the lives of everyday people, because it had affected our lives directly. And Dad went on to eventually chair the Education Finance Committee. He thought that was kind of neat because he never had a college education or anything, and here he was chairing Education Finance. And he served during a time that came to be known as the Minnesota Miracle, when they shifted funding for education to the state to ensure that no matter where you live, you get a good quality education for your children. And that it came to be known as the Minnesota Miracle because it transformed the quality of life for people here in this state. So magic does happen in this building, miracles happen in this building. And I think it's important to note as well that it was bipartisan, that was a bipartisan effort. And that's what happens when the 2 sides come together. My brother's no longer with us. He passed away way back in 1974. He was only 12 years old at the time. And it was an accident on our farm. My dad passed away now about 12 years ago. But that special ed program that my brother inspired and my dad helped to start is still going. So I didn't expect to get emotional either. But, you know, it inspired me to want to get involved. And it reminds me of a saying. My favorite saying is that a true sign of wisdom is when one plants trees, the shade from which they will never enjoy. And that's what's being done here today, too. So, and for me, politics, you know, a lot of people think of politics as kind of separating family members from each other. The person that's serving has to spend a lot of time here. But for me, it actually was a place where Dad and I connected. We spent a lot of time talking politics, and I traveled with him all over the place, door knocked with him all over the place. So for me, family and politics have always been intertwined, not separate. And I've tried to do that with my own service, get the family involved, sometimes not willingly. But my kids have helped me with the parades. They help me with the door knocking. And I hope that one day they'll look back with fond memories, even though at the time maybe they didn't think it was that great. Because I certainly have fond memories of this place and time with my dad. But I want to emphasize again the bipartisanship and how important that is. You know, I do have concerns about, you know, the direction that we've been moving in and the polarization in our state and in our country, and the inability to get things done as a result of that. And, you know, Senator Giselka, you were talking about building bridges and building bridges across party divides, and I would say also building bridges across the generations. That's what I see happening when we're providing for education for our children, and also long-term care for our seniors and those with disabilities. I guess if there was one thing that I would hope to see continued bridges being built in, it's in the area of long-term care and making sure that we're providing for our most vulnerable the care and the services that they need. I think of, I think about, I guess the reason why not enough attention is being paid to that issue, and I think one of the reasons is because it's a difficult thing to talk about. You know, we're talking about end-of-life issues, and I guess people would probably prefer to talk about education because you're talking about a future, bright future for our children. A little more difficult when we're talking about the end of people's years, and also I think another reason is because it is a huge crisis that we're facing. You know, demographic changes, the likes of which we haven't seen in world history, as far as the percentage of the population moving into their senior years, and they're going to need that care. We haven't been preparing for it, and I liken it to a story I was told. I started flying a little airplane about 18 years ago, learned how to fly a little plane, and joined a flying club up in Fertile. It's a group of us that own an old 1967 model Cessna 150, which is just a little two-seat airplane. Actually, Senator Johnson's dad is a member of the same club with me. So, but I would fly that airplane down here for session all the time in my earlier years. And I love flying down here, and I love flying at night. I'd come down oftentimes on Sunday night, so it'd be dark out, and it's actually quite beautiful at night with the lights below, and especially on a dark night, it feels like you're kind of floating in space over the lights, and little clusters of galaxies, and as they get closer to the cities, they get to be more and more lights, and of course, when you come into St. Paul, it's just a sea of lights, and you're sinking into this galaxy as you're coming in. But it's also more dangerous flying at night because it's hard to see the ground if your engine gives out on you. It's hard to know where to put the plane down. So a more experienced pilot was giving me some advice. And he said, what you do if your engine quits on you and and you're looking for a place to put the plane down. You just glide it down to an area you think looks good. And when you're about 100 feet off the ground, you turn on the landing lights so you can see what's in front of you. And he said, so you turn on the landing lights, he said, and if you don't like what you see, turn them off again. and that was the end of his advice. That was it. But obviously he was telling a joke, but I tell that story because I think some people operate that way. You know, if they see such a daunting task, they just turn off the lights and pretend it's not there. And I think that's what's been happening here. And I think it's time to turn on the landing lights. Because if we don't, we're going to land in a very bad place with disastrous consequences. So, and we need to start acting now. So I would encourage, those who serve from here on out to work on that issue. Because I take great pride in coming from Minnesota for many reasons. I really do think we're the star of the North. We're the ones that lead the way. And one of the ways we lead the way is that we're a state that does not leave anyone behind. And in order to make sure that we live up to that, we need to address this issue. So, I've had a lot of mentors over the years, and my dad being the biggest mentor, of course. But my dad actually served with Roger Moe. Roger Moe was his senator, and they started at the same time. And throughout Dad's years in the House, they served as a team representing the same area. And Roger Moe's been a tremendous mentor to me as well. I've known him since I've been 6 years old. I interned with him when I was in college here in the Senate. Learned a lot from that. He took me under his wing, and I greatly appreciate that. Some others, Leroy Stumpf, Senator Stumpf, who actually served in the House with my dad. And he sat next to Dad when he was in the House. And he said that he learned a lot from him, and he considered Dad to be a mentor of his. And when I came to the Senate, he asked if I would like to sit next to him. And so we sat next to each other, and he became a mentor to me here. Also, Senator Keith Langseth, who I followed here. He has been left huge shoes to fill, and did tremendous work while he was here. And I appreciate so much what he's done. He really worked hard for me in my first election, which was a challenging race. And he actually, I remember once calling him on the phone during the campaign and asked him, Keith, how are things going? And he said, or I asked him, what are you up to? And he said, I'm putting up one of your signs. What are you up to? And I said, I'm heading out right now to go door knocking. So, and then, of course, Senator Skoye, who was my senator while I was serving in the House. We were kind of known as the kings of the town hall meetings. We did more town hall meetings than anyone else, I think, in the legislature. And wonderful friendships we developed over the years. That's one of the best parts of this job, is all the friendships that have been developed, including my LAs. I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. I feel like I've had the best LAs in the legislature, and that includes Will Freeman, who is my current LA. But again, many have said that they're the ones that make us look good. And I've had a number of friends also here in the Senate. I'd say my best friend while I was here was Senator Coonan, Lyle Coonan. We roomed together for a number of years, and we hung out so much together they started calling us the twins when they'd see us. But yeah, I thought I mentioned Representative Marquardt, who we both served for, well, he's been in for 22 years now, and he's probably giving his speech right now. He's stepping out at the same time, which seems appropriate since we really were a team together, and really love serving with him. He's a tremendous friend, tremendous legislator, and just great to be around. Actually, I ran for the Senate because of him, because we were put in the same district in 2012. So one of us had to go, and I couldn't dig up enough dirt on Paul, so I had to find something else to do. And believe me, I tried, guys. But Paul and I joked around a lot with each other about that. And I thought I'd mention, too, it was so great to see Senator Tomassoni yesterday. great friend, and we hung out in his office again, and that's something we need to do more of. His office was really a good meeting grounds for people on both sides of the aisle, where people took off their gloves and got to know each other on a personal level, and got to like each other. And that's what facilitates the agreements so necessary to make things move forward here. So I greatly appreciate what Senator Tomassoni has done for, I think, that collegiality here. But I also want to thank, I do want to thank Senator Gazelka for what he said, and I have tremendous respect for what you have done in your role as majority leader here, because you have tried to find that common ground, and I always think Minnesota really is an example to follow for the rest of the country, because we're the only divided legislature in the country, and yet we're still able to get things done. And so I think that again, we're the star of the North, I guess, for others to follow in that regard. And Senator Bach, for the years you were majority leader, all the things that we accomplished, a lot of good things that were accomplished during your 4 years in that position while I was here. So had to take a lot of tough votes, but we got things done. So, I guess, you know, the last thing I guess I would like to say, talk about is the need for civility and, you know, for more camaraderie here. When I walk up to the Senate chambers, oftentimes I'll take the stairs and I'll walk past this artifact down at the base of the grand staircase here, which is a flagpole that was carried at the Battle of Gettysburg by the 1st Minnesota Regiment. And that flagpole was broken too during the battle, and they still continued to carry that flag and won the battle, of course, captured the Confederate flag, and took the flagpole from that Confederate flag and cut it in two and strapped the bottom of the Confederate flagpole to the top of the Union flagpole, which really acted as a great symbol of one of the reasons we were fighting that war. It was for bringing the country back together, as well as for, as Lincoln put it, the new birth of freedom. So that, I think, is a great reminder of one of our jobs here, is to find that common ground and keep us together. Again, I'm concerned about the polarization. So now what I'm planning to do next, I'm not sure exactly, but I was a teacher before coming here, so I'm looking at going back into teaching again. I'd like to encourage young people to get involved. I think that's one of the problems with the polarization and some of the ugliness in politics, is it's discouraging a lot of young people from wanting to get involved. And I'd like to inspire people to inspire young people to participate and understand how important that is to their quality of life and to the quality of life of everybody in the state. So I guess I still have a few trees I'd like to plant. So again, I thank you. It's been a tremendous honor to have served with you, and a tremendous honor to have served the people of my district all these years. But thanks so much.